Hello students, in this video I am going to explain the second chapter of module 3 subject IoT. The chapter name is Application Protocols for IoT. This chapter mainly focuses on two layers of IoT protocol stack. The two layers are transport layer and application layer. In the transport layer, if the network is IP based, then we are going to see the use of TCP UDP with respect to IoT applications. And in another topic, we are going to see what are the various IoT application layer protocols that are available, and what are the various transportation methods, what are the various methods to carry application data across network. Okay, starting with the transport layer. If the network is a IP based network, then there are two transport layer protocols. One is TCP, another one is UDP. TCP is a connection oriented protocol which needs a session to get established before the exchanging of data between source and destination, whereas UDP there is no requirement of connection to be established, but there is a problem that there is no guarantee of a delivery of data, and when it is compared with the TCP, the data can be quickly sent between source and destination. So these are the main difference between TCP and UDP. Now, if we are given with a particular IoT application layer protocol, now the question is which transport layer protocol is to be selected, whether it is a TCP or a UDP. And now, the most of the older IoT application layer protocols, okay, that is industrial application layer protocols, they are implemented over TCP. See, this TCP is not a challenging, is not a heavyweight protocol for unconstrained devices and high data rate networks. Unconstrained devices, example laptops, you can consider mobile devices. High data rate networks means you can consider cellular network, or you can consider Wi-Fi, particularly the versions are 802.11ac, BGN. So you can consider these as a high data rate network, and for these devices and these networks, TCP is not a heavyweight protocol, whereas if you consider constrained IoT devices and constrained networks, then TCP can be challenging. What are these IoT constrained devices and constrained network? Here we have one term that is called as a LLN, low power and lossy network, that you might have come across in the previous chapter of this module. Here this network is composed of constrained devices. Constrained devices means these are the devices with that is battery power, with low power consumption, limited memory, limited processing capacity, and the network is usually of a low data rate, unstable links, the connection is not stable, and there is a high chance of a packet loss. For example, you can say the network which are based on 802.15.4 and 802.11ah, that is a low power Wi-Fi. You can say these as a constrained networks. For such networks and for such constrained devices, TCP can be a heavyweight protocol, because each TCP, that is when you use TCP, each packet will be added with the minimum 20 bytes of that is extra overhead with each packet, whereas if you consider UDP adds extra 8 bytes of overhead with the packet. And this TCP is also called as a heavyweight because it requires establishment of a session. If you consider LLN, um, this establishment of a session before exchanging of data may not be possible, okay, in case of LLNs, because you will have numerous IoT devices, and if between each exchange of data, if the session has to be established, this may not be possible with the LLN, that is a low power lossy network. So because of this, we have a new application protocol, IoT application protocol, such as COAP. COAP stands for Constrained Application Protocol. About this we are going to see later, and this is the IoT application protocol that uses UDP, and we have new industrial application layer protocols that support both UDP as well as TCP. When it supports UDP, when it supports TCP. See, the example of such a new industrial application layer protocol is that is DLMS COSEM. DLMS stands for Device Language Message Specification. COSEM stands for Companion Specification for Energy Metering. This is the protocol that is mainly used for reading the smart meters. So this is the IoT application layer protocol that supports both TCP as well as UDP. TCP is selected if this application layer protocol is run over cellular networks, and if DLMS COSEM application layer protocol, if it is run over LLN, then UDP is the better choice. So this is about the selection of transport layer protocol, whether it is a TCP or a UDP, depending on IoT application layer protocol. Now coming to the next topic, IoT application transport methods. Here what we are going to consider, what are the various IoT application layer protocols are available, and what are the various methods of transporting the application data over the network. So these are the categories. In the first category, we do not have application layer protocol, but the IoT applications, they transport the data payload, data packets directly over lower layers of the network, that is MAC layer, physical layer. And second category, we have a SCADA, which stands for Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition. It is a industrial protocol which was developed long back, that is before the days of IP, and these protocols are serial link based, and now they have been adapted for IP networks. They have been changed for IP network. And we have one more category that are called as generic web-based protocols, where we are going to make use of web-based protocols such as HTTP, HTTPS, and these are particularly useful for IoT applications containing non-constrained devices, as well as non-constrained networks such as Ethernet, Wi-Fi, 4G, cellular networks. Okay, then in the last category, we are going to see what are the IoT application layer protocols that can be used with the constrained devices, and they can run over cellular as well as satellite links, as well as constrained networks. Okay, the protocols that we are going, IoT application layer protocols that we are going to discuss in this chapter is one is MQTT, another one is COAP. Both of these can run over constrained network as well as a unconstrained network, and they support constrained nodes. Now starting with the first category, um, that is where we do not have a application layer protocol, that is application layer protocol not present here. Even if application layer protocol is not present, the IoT application, they transmit the data over the lower layers, on the top of the lower layers, here in this scenario, we are going to consider the devices that are called as a class 0 devices, constrained devices which belong to the class 0. See, class 0 devices, they are extremely constrained in terms of memory, that is they have less than 10 kb of RAM, 100 less than 100 kb of that is a flash memory, and very less processing capacity, and they are battery powered, that is they have a limited power supply, and they are connected to the gateway for internet. Here I have shown one image where we have constrained devices that belong to the class 0, and here these class 0 devices are particularly used in medical field, which are used to measure various physical variables such as human blood pressure, temperature, or maybe BP, or any other physical variables. These measured values are transmitted over these lower layers of network, and they need IoT gateway so that they can be transmitted to the internet. Okay, so here this is just one example where we have devices, constrained devices that transmit the data, and which are received by the IoT application, and this transmission of data is carried out over lower layers. On the top of the lower layers, we do not have any application layer protocol. Here, why we do not have these application layer protocol, or why we cannot implement these protocol stacks such as IP, TCP or UDP, because of these very constraint, a lot of constraint on processing capability as well as memory capacity of these class 0 devices. Here one example has been considered under this scenario where there is no application layer protocol, and this example is used for demonstrating one concept that is called as IoT data broker. Now you consider that we have hundreds or thousands of sensors, okay, particularly class 0 sensors that are low cost sensors that particularly measure temperature and relative humidity, and these sensors transmit data over one wireless technology, that is particularly LPWA technology, that is called as a LoRaWAN. About this we have discussed in the previous module. LoRaWAN, actually it is a low power long range wireless technology, and it is particularly LPWA technology that supports a long range wireless communication. Here these devices, that is hundreds or thousands of these sensors, they directly transport the data on the top of this LoRaWAN MAC layer. Okay, see, these are the LoRaWAN MAC layer and a physical layer. On the top of this, the data payload is transported without the use of this TCP/IP protocol stack. Um, Now, here there is a possibility that if such hundreds or thousands of sensors are used, there is a possibility that these devices may be manufactured by different companies, and they may transport this data based on various formats. Okay, the temperature, if this are used to transmit the temperature value, then they may be based on a 2 byte or 4 byte or 8 byte. Different formats may be used for sending this data. Now, the problem with these IoT application is they have to interpret these data values of varying formats. Then only they will be able to process this data. So, in order to reduce the overhead of interpreting these data of different formats, this one piece of middleware, okay, that is used, that is called as a IoT data broker. What this IoT data broker does, it takes these data of different formats and converts into one standard format that can be used by all these applications to process. No overhead of interpreting these data of different formats. The data will be converted into one standard format by this IoT data broker and then it will be given to these applications and they can directly process that data. So this is one scenario that is based on um, that is not making use of any IoT application layer protocol and based on the class 0 devices. Okay, so moving on to the next transport method, that is how IoT application data can be transported over that is a IP network. Okay, so this is another method that we are going to consider, that is SCADA. SCADA stands for supervisory control and data acquisition. What is that SCADA? Actually, it is a control system that is used in various industries such as water or waste control, energy, oil, gas refining, and this system is used to control, monitor the various equipments in these industries. And this system was designed long back, that is without making use of IP network. So this SCADA to control and monitor the equipments, they make use of its own network. SCADA makes use of its own network as well as its own protocol. And these protocols, since they were developed before IP, they these SCADA protocols are serial based, serial link based, transporting serial data. And more commonly used the protocols by this SCADA are DNP3. DNP stands for Distributed Network Protocol, and one more commonly used protocol that is in SCADA, that is a Modbus for communication between devices. I'll tell you about this RTU and SCADA master. See, I told SCADA is a control system that is used to monitor devices in the industry. How it monitors? We have here one server that is called as a master that runs this SCADA application, and we also have other devices that are called as RTU, remote terminal units, which in turn are connected to equipments, industrial equipments or machineries. These RTUs, they receive data from these industrial equipments and transmit to the master as and when it is requested by this master, and this master can send the control signals as and when it is required to this RTU, and in turn RTU control the equipments in the industry. So this is what is the working of SCADA control system which are used in the industries. And again, this SCADA has its own network as well as has its own protocols which are serial based. Now the next is if these SCADA protocols have to be used over current IP networks, okay, then we need certain adjustments to transport these SCADA messages. As I told, these SCADA protocols were developed long back, which are not IP based. Now, if they are to be run over IP networks, we need certain adjustments. What are the adjustments that what we are going to discuss now? So we have these different adjustment technique. That is adjustment techniques. Starting with the first technique, adapting SCADA for IP. What is this adapting SCADA for IP? In this method, I'll show the diagram. In this method, we make use of one layer, okay, that is called as a connection management layer, that is used as a adaptation layer, adaptation layer between SCADA and the IP protocols, SCADA protocols and IP protocols. Okay, we'll start in detail about this. Here, this explanation makes use of one of the SCADA protocol that is called as DNP3, and this DNP3 is based on master-slave relationship. And here, according to this, we will have a SCADA master, we will have a RTUs which act as slaves that receive the control signals from the master, and RTUs in turn control the equipments based on the master control signal, and RTUs they receive the data from the industrial equipments and pass it to the master. Okay, and all these communication they take place using DNP3 messages. Okay, now if these DNP3 messages have to be transported over IP, one more point I will tell you, this DNP3 messages are serial data. Okay, they are based on serial that is serial link based messages, serial data we say. And if these DNP3 messages, okay, which are serial data, if they have to be transported over IP network, then we need adapting, okay, adapting technique that supports transporting of DNP3 messages over IP. Okay, adapting means it encapsulates, okay, it packages the DNP3 messages into IP packets, IP messages. It encapsulates DNP3 messages into IP packets. So this is carried out by using one layer, okay, that is a connection management layer in between DNP3 protocol stack and IP protocol stack, and this performs adapting. Adapting means DNP3 messages are encapsulated into IP messages or IP packets. So that is what is the first method for transporting DNP3 or SCADA messages over SCA SCADA messages over IP using adaptation layer, that is called as a connection management. Okay, so we will move to the next technique of transporting SCADA messages over IP. The second method is tunneling. Tunneling SCADA over IP network, and that makes use of endpoints that are called as a raw socket. Okay, what is tunneling? Tunneling is establishing connection between SCADA server and RTUs using TCP/IP based network, and using raw socket. Tunneling is establishing, yeah, you can see the diagram, establishing connection between SCADA server and RTUs over IP based network using raw socket. What is raw socket? Raw socket is actually is an endpoint that is used to package serial data of SCADA into TCP or UDP packets. Okay, so here we again consider three scenarios of this tunneling of SCADA over IP. These scenarios are based on where the raw sockets are placed. In the first scenario, we consider that the raw sockets are placed at the routers. Okay, routers that connect the server and RTUs to the IP. Here we have these raw sockets. We have raw sockets at the that is routers. Now, what this raw socket they do? They take serial data. They take serial data from SCADA server as well as RTUs, because SCADA system is based on the serial protocol, and these serial protocol, since they make use of serial data, if this serial data have to be placed on a IP network, then we have to encapsulate those serial data into IP or TCP UDP packets. So that packaging of serial data into TCP or UDP packets is done by these raw sockets which are established at the routers. So this is a one scenario where the raw sockets which are used for packaging serial data into TCP UDP packets. Where these raw sockets are placed at the um, routers. At the routers. Okay, we have one more scenario where the raw socket, okay, that is a particularly a piece of software that performs the operation of raw socket. What is the operation of a raw socket? Encapsulating or packaging serial data into UDP or TCP packets. So that packaging is done by the raw socket, and a piece of software that performs this operation of raw socket is established at the SCADA server. So now SCADA server is directly connected to the IP network through the Ethernet. Okay, but here at the RTU side, we have a raw socket at the router, and RTUs continue sending the serial data to this router, and at the router we have a raw socket that performs this encapsulation or packaging of serial data into the TCP or UDP packets. We have one more scenario, that is scenario C, where instead of having a software that performs the operation of a raw socket, the raw socket itself is established at the SCADA server, and this SCADA server has a full IP support to transport these TCP UDP packets over the IP network. But at the RTU side, they continue to transmit the serial data to the router, and the routers are established with a raw socket that carries out this transport of serial data over the IP network. So this is about another method of transporting SCADA messages, application messages over the IP network. We have one more technique of transporting SCADA messages, SCADA data over the IP network, that is based on protocol translation. Here we are not going to make use of raw socket. Instead of that, we are making use of the protocol translation between serial protocol and IP protocol. That is, serial protocol is translated into corresponding IP protocol. Again, we are going to consider a scenario where we have two master applications. Okay, that is SCADA master applications running over a system that support IP connection. Okay, that support a protocol that is called as a DNP3 over IP. It supports a IP connection. Okay, and on another side we have that is RTUs. You can see here, as I told, we consider a scenario where we have master applications, SCADA master applications that supports a IP connection using a protocol that is called as a DNP3 over IP. It directly transports IP packets. It supports transmission over IP network. On another side, we have RTUs, that is SCADA RTUs, that makes use of a DNP3 protocol, which is serial based protocol. On one side we have a IP connection, on another side we have a serial, that is serial connection. Okay, a serial connection on one side, that is on RTU side, and a IP connection on a master side. So we need now that is a protocol translation between IP connection and serial connection. Okay, and that is carried out by this IP IoT gateway. IoT gateway carries out this protocol translation between this IP connection and serial connection. Okay, continuing with one more topic. Here we have one small topic that explains about one technique or one mechanism that is called as MAP-T. MAP-T stands for mapping of address and port using translation, and this is specified in RFC 7599. RFC stands for request for comments, and this is nothing but a publication, okay, or a document that is published by IETF organization, okay. And this RFC actually contains information about the protocols, okay. uh, so all these are included within this RFC, which are published by one standard organization that is called as IETF. IETF is one standards organization that is particularly specifying TCP IP based protocol. Okay. Now, yeah, what this MAP-T is used. This is actually a technique that performs the mapping between this IPv4 and IPv6 protocols. That is, it supports transportation of IPv4 traffic over IPv6 network. Okay, now why do we need and when do we need this MAP-T? So again, you can find its use in SCADA system. As I told, it is a control system that was developed in olden days to control the industrial devices. And in the beginning, the SCADA was making use of protocols which were not IP based, but now it has been transformed into IP based. Okay, it is making use of certain protocols which are IP based, okay, that are called as DNP3 over IP, Modbus over TCP. See, these are the currently being used protocols in SCADA in order to support IP network. Okay, yeah. Now, as I told, the SCADA protocols have been modified to support IP network. But these SCADA devices, okay, today's SCADA devices, they support IPv4 version only. Okay, and in case if these SCADA devices supporting IPv4, if they have to be run over, if they have to be deployed over LLN networks, okay, which are based on IPv6, okay, then in that case we need a mapping technique that is performed by this MAP-T. MAP-T, what it does, it supports the IPv4 traffic to be transmitted over IPv6 network. One scenario has been considered here. You can see we have a SCADA server, SCADA server that supports IPv4 protocol, or maybe DNP3 over UDP, or Modbus over TCP. Okay. Then on another side, we have a SCA. We have a SCADA endpoint. Again, it is based on IPv4 protocol such as DNP3 over UDP, Modbus over TCP. Okay, these support IPv4 message transmission. Now, if these endpoints, okay, SCADA endpoints which support IPv4, maybe server, maybe server, or maybe there's an endpoint. If they are connected over this LLN supporting IPv6, okay, LLN supporting IPv6. For example, if it supports 6LoWPAN and RPL. What is 6LoWPAN? It is IPv6 low power wide area wireless personal area network. Okay, and these protocols, okay, they support IPv6. If SCADA endpoints supporting IPv4, if they are connected over LLN supporting IPv6, then you need a mapping. You need a mapping technique that performs a translation of IPv4 traffic, IPv4 messages into messages that can be transmitted over IPv6 network. You need a mapping here also that translates this IPv4 traffic into IPv6 messages. Okay, so what are those mapping techniques? At the and at the this RTUs, okay, we use CPE, customer premise endpoint, customer premise endpoint that performs mapping at RTUs, and at server side we make use of this MAPT border gateway, MAPT border gateway. Both of these perform this mapping of IPv4 to IPv6. So this is about the SCADA transport over LLNs by using MAPT technique. Okay, so we are done with the um, two transport methods. One is application layer protocol not present. Another one another transport method, that is a SCADA. We will see the next two methods in the next video. Thank you.